FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
We're back on the Financial Survival Network. I'm really pleased. With us again is Gerald Celente. You know him well from the Trends Research Institute, and he developed the globalnomic methodology to identify, track, forecast, and manage trends. Of course, he's a political atheist. That's the only kind we like here on the Financial Survival Network, and unencumbered by political dogma, rigid ideology, or conventional wisdom. And Gerald hopes that you think for yourself, and that's what we're all about here as well. Gerald, welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, always a pleasure. So where are we here in terms of the global economic collapse? I mean, we seem to have been kind of in suspended animation for the past 3 years, haven't we?
Yes, we have. And the suspended animation is part of any good Ponzi scheme. And that is to dump more cheap dough, in this case, to sucker the people into the markets and keeping, interest rates at zero, essentially, for over 5 years. And with all the Fed quantitative easing, and around the world, the European central banks doing what they had to do as well to juice the markets, and China. I mean, China's doing the same thing. They just keep dumping dough into the systems. So it's been on hold, and now it's going off hold. You can see the cracks forming. For a year, I kept hearing about the great recovery going over there in the Eurozone. There's no recovery. The new numbers came out and showed it. Look what's going on in the States. There's no recovery. Look at the jobs that are being created. There's no recovery. Look at the housing markets. I mean, everybody's talking about real estate. I mean, look at the houses that are underwater. Almost 19% of them are still underwater. And when you go down to the lower end of housing, in the old days, young people used to go into that sector, but now they can't afford to. And you're looking at about 30% of the lower tier being underwater. There's no recovery. It's been a cover-up. And it's unprecedented in history that interest rates are kept this low for so long, and unprecedented in history that we bail out all of these damn companies one after another, whether it's the too-big-to-fail banks or those losers called General Motors. How about General Morons? Hey, today, what did they do? Recall another 2.8 million cars? So we pay for their mistakes. And I want to make this really clear. This is not capitalism. It's not a failure of capitalism. In capitalism, there's no such thing as too big to fail. In capitalism, there's no bailing out your buddies. It's called fascism, the merger of state and corporate powers, and it spreads beyond the corporate world in Wall Street. It's to the militarized police and the raping of our rights. All things are connected. By the way, that's what globalnomics does. We connect all the different fields, so you don't look at one thing as though it's isolated. You could put the whole picture together, and it's pretty ugly.
So what's coming next here? Are the people going to rise up against this garbage here, Gerald, or are they just going to keep taking it?
Well, rise up against what? Look what they just did to that girl in New York. I think his name is Cicely McMillan or something like that, 25 years old. Mm-hmm. And she was at the Occupy thing. And a cop ostensibly grabbed her from behind, and she elbowed him in the eye. Oh, he elbowed the cop in the eye. Oh! Wait, he didn't have body armor over his eye. He didn't have a helmet on. Anytime you hurt a cop now, it's a federal offense, basically. What is she getting? 3 months in jail, 5 years probation, a 4-week trial, and now she has to go for mental health counseling. Oh, the cop got a blow. Oh, I was threatened. Blah, 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 blah. They blow you away. You're going to demonstrate? Demonstrate about you? Do you want to get your head handed to you? You want to lay down on the pavement with your face busted open? There's not going to be any demonstrations in the USSA. And then the hypocrisy, Kerry. Well, look what Victoria Nuland, the Assistant Secretary of State. Anybody could go hear it. December 13th, 2013, go to YouTube. Victoria Nuland, National Press Club, sponsored by Chevron. See, big sign right over his shoulder. Talking about the democratically seeking people of Ukraine trying to get their freedom and democracy, and how the brutality of the Ukraine government is stopping these poor freedom-loving people as the cops beat the shit out of you in this country anytime you step out of line. Are you going to see revolutions and revolts? Not a chance. And then again, look what the people look like in this country. I mean, they can't walk up a flight of stairs. You have obesity rates among young people that are at record highs in the planet. No, there's not going to be any resistance. Everybody, you watch the elections coming up midterm, they'll all pull the lever for the Bloods and the Crips, or as they like to call themselves, the Republicans and the Democrats.
So the collapse, I mean, the state's not going to be able to support itself at some point, correct?
Oh, correct. It's not going to be. But when all things fail, they take you to war. And the people's minds are knocked off it quickly, whether it's false flag or real. Go back into 2000. We wrote about it, actually, ironically, in this last TrendsJournal. In 2001, you know, Bush wins the so-called election that the Supreme Court doesn't want to count the ballots. His popularity the day before 9/11, remember, the guy just gets elected in 2000. He's in office only a couple of months. Is down to 51%. After just a couple of months. The day after 9/11, right? A week later, he's at 88%. A chimp, a moron of a president, a murderer for starting a fake war based on lies that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction and ties to al-Qaeda. People saw how inept he was, but they forgot. And then also, not to forget, he was booed off stage when the next commander-in-chief was being inaugurated on the inauguration day. So what I'm saying to you is that people's minds can become distracted very quickly from the economic problems. Right in front of everybody to look, there's prime propaganda. They got 5 guys over there in China that are hacking away, even hacking away at the American Steel Union. Oh, yeah, that's a big priority for them peoples over there in China. Front page, splashed across the Wall Street Journal, Financial Times, New York Times. How could you want to talk about hypocrisy? I mean, they're listening in on us now. They're watching when you go to the toilet. The NSA is everywhere. But look how they diverted the nation's attention away from the raping of our constitutional rights to, we're going to go get them Chinese.
Yeah, so now you see what's happening China and Vietnam. Is that staged as well?
No, not staged at all. There's problems over there. You know, China's been fighting with Vietnam for centuries. They were a colony of Vietnam. And China's aggressive, you know, I mean, right or wrong, you know, I mean, you know, when you talk about the Spratly Islands or the East China Sea, you know, I mean, who knows, you know, according to a lot of documents, you know, that Japan stole a lot of what China claims to is theirs back in the late 1800s, and it was given back to China in, I think, 1943. But, and then you look at the problems also going on in Myanmar, formerly Burma, of course, and they're rebelling against the Chinese, too. You know, so the Chinese are, you know, this is for real. And again, you know, it's complicated. It's been going on for centuries. Hey, but maybe John Kerry could fix it. He did a great job with that peace process over there in Israel. Wonderful. Hey, maybe Obama could fix it. Look at the humanitarian mission they pulled off in Libya. Oh, it's another civil war going on over there, huh? Hey, how about Iraq? Great day over there, isn't it? What they killed today? Only 38, 104 the day before, about 204 on Saturday. Oh, I forgot about Afghanistan. Oh, yeah, we'll fix the Middle East, and then after that, pivot to Asia. No, China's going to be a huge issue, and there's 1.2 billion people there, and they don't have enough food to feed them in their country. Geopolitics is the thing to look at very very closely. And again, as a political atheist, I only look at it for what it is and not the way I want it to be.
Sure. So we've got this situation, then we've got this drought in the western part of the country, doesn't show any signs of letting up. So we've got this food issue. It's really going to become major in the world, isn't it?
Food and water. Those people ask from other businesses to get in clean food and clean water. I mean, it's way beyond, you know. People ask me, do I believe in global warming and climate change? And I don't get involved in certain issues, you know. And all I say is this. I say, look, you know, I'm not a scientist, and I don't know. But let me ask you this. If you dump trillions of pounds of poisons into the water, into the earth, and into the air, you think it will have any kind of an adverse effect?
Yeah,
so if you want to pile the data up and get into a scientific argument, I'm not into it. But I'll tell you what, another one of my friends just called me, 2 weeks ago? His wife, young woman, just died of cancer. A friend of mine just came over here on Sunday. They got married in August up in Hudson, New York. His wife went in the hospital in January, and she just died of cancer. So, I mean, everybody knows somebody that's dying of cancer. There's poisons everywhere. So when you talk about drought and water, the biggest businesses I see really are in clean food and clean water.
I couldn't agree with you more on that. I've totally changed my diet in the past year and a half, you know, recognizing that to be true. And then, of course, energy. You got to look at the energy situation around the world and scratch your head and say, at some point, you know, we're going to come up short there, right?
It's an atrocity, Kerry, that we don't have a true alternative energy beyond wind, solar, geothermal, or biofuel. I mean, what do they say? It costs $6 trillion to fight the Iraq and Afghan war. Can you imagine if we put $1 trillion into really developing an alternative energy? You know, something, you know, like a hydrino power or coal fusion. One of the things that they talk about, and others, there's no reason for us to be burning fossil fuels to be doing what we're doing. And again, when you look at what's going on in Ukraine, for example, they're going to solve the energy problem over there. That company that controls the majority of the energy, Burisma. Yeah, they just brought on John Kerry's son, Hunter. Hunter Biden. Just they brought him on the board of directors. Oh, and I forgot Kerry, Secretary of State, his stepson, Christopher Hines of the Hines Fortune, his college roommate and partner. What's his name? Yvonne Archer. Yeah, he's on the same Burisma company as well. So maybe the energy problems will be solved because they just found two of the most brilliant human beings in the world and brought them on board. Had nothing to do with connections. How dare you, Celente, assume that? Don't you know that Hunter and Devon are the divine peoples of the world that could solve the problems in Ukraine and solve their energy problems as well? And then once upon a time, I mean, how could anybody believe this crap anymore? How can people keep taking orders from their senators, their congressmen, their presidents, and their vice presidents when the corruption is right in front of everybody's eyes and everything that they do turns to failure?
Yeah, they certainly do have a knack for failure, don't they?
Show me one that they've won on. Now you tell me. I've been talking. You tell me now. I
can't think of one. I cannot think of one. It's just breathtaking. It's in the scope of the failure. And there's no vision for anything in the future, for a future that works, is there?
Look at the people. Rubio. Little boy. I've been in public service for 14 years. I'm not good at math. So this jerk has been sucking off the public tits since he's been 29 years old. I love that term, public service. Hey, I got some toilets to clean. They always play this public servant BS during election time. Kerry, you know, he's senator for 29 years. These cats never work, man. All they do is, you know who they are? You said they had no vision. These are the same jerks the same suck-ups, brown-nosers, glad-handers, and overly ambitious people you couldn't stand in high school and college that wanted to be class president and head of the student council. They follow their career path. They haven't changed one bit, and they're totally detached from what real life feels like.
Yeah. Yeah, well, no one can say you're an optimist here. Is there a time where we're going to get through this, though?
It's up to the people. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not a question of being an optimist or a pessimist. Those are values. You try to do things to change it. You do what you do, I do what I do. Look, one of the things that we're going to be doing shortly, and people could start signing up now, we're just in the early stages, it's Occupy Peace. OccupyPeace.us. Only for United States citizens. You want to do it in your country, you do it. I'm up here in colonial Kingston, New York, literally a stone's throw away from the 1777 Senate House.
Right.
The most historic corner in the United States, the only place on each corner with pre-Revolutionary War stone buildings. I am an American. I believe in the principles upon which this country was founded.
Mm-hmm.
George Washington, his farewell address, no foreign entanglements. Hamilton, Jefferson, Adams, Madison, every one of them, no foreign entanglements. And I got some jerk. I'm a Harvard guy. I'm a Princeton man. I'm a Yale lady. And I'm telling you, Celente, and all of you founding fathers, you're wrong. I know better. So Occupy Peace is based on 3 words. No foreign entanglements. Bring home all the troops, only a defense force. Listen, I'm a close combat practitioner. I believe in self-defense. You don't attack anybody for any reason. You stay out of fights. You only fight when you have to. I want the strongest self-defense force in the world, which we already have, considering 41% of that, of all the defense spending in the world is American. Nobody comes close to us. Close down all the bases, bring home all the troops, and rebuild America. So when you ask me about am I an optimist, I'm taking action to do what I can do to rebuild America. All those countless trillions that have been wasted on the military, bring it back home. Rebuild America. Rebuild the infrastructure. Rebuild our education system. Stinks. It's a joke. Education.
It's not educational.
Yeah. I mean, I ran away from kindergarten at 4.5 years old. I crossed the Boston Post Road in the Bronx. They took me out of school.
I know where you mean.
I got left back in the 5th grade, and I barely got out of high school. I hated every day of it.
It's
and now if anybody thinks that our excuse me?
It's like prison.
It's like prison. And if anybody thinks it's working, hey, look how crappy the country is doing. If we had a good education system, you think it would be like this? So what I'm saying is to rebuild America, restore the grandness. Look, I'm not stupid. I know the atrocities that were committed, against the Native Americans, slavery and other foreign entanglements that we shouldn't have been in. But this country was the envy of the world. It was the place where you could really be who you wanted to be and rise to the highest levels. It was the land of opportunity. That's gone. Now it's the land of the multinationals. It's the land of the 1%. It's the land of the militarized police. It's the land of the Wall Street gang and the D.C. mafia. And I want to restore America to what was great about it. I could not be who I am if I was born in Italy. And I love being Italian. But boy, give me America. I'm glad I was born here because I never could have had the freedom to be who I am like I am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's not your father's United States or your grandfather's United States. That's for sure. Right?
So we're trying to do it with Occupy Peace as one of the first steps. Anybody who wants to go get a foreign entanglement, I support Israel. Good. Take your money, take your wife, take your kids, go. I don't want my money going to Israel. I don't want it going to Italy. I don't want it going to Ireland. I don't want it going to Ukraine. I want it going to Detroit. I want it going to Camden. I want it going to Kingston. I want it going to America.
Yeah, well, let's look at all of these entanglements. What have they gotten us, really, in the final analysis?
Hatred around the world. Oh, they attack us because they hate our freedom and liberty. Yeah, grow up.
Yeah, go to an airport.
They attack you because you're involved in other propping up dictators. Kerry, I wrote about this stuff for years. Mm-hmm. It's in the TrendsJournal. It's in my book, Trends 2000, Warner Books, national bestseller. In 1997, I warned about Crusades 2000 and terror strikes because of the United States foreign policy.
Yeah. Well, hey,
believe 9/11, whatever people want to do, forget. I'm not getting into that discussion. All I'm saying is payback's a bitch. You hit somebody, they're going to hit you back.
Yeah. Hey, so Gerald, people want to get the TrendsJournal. Where did they go?
TrendsJournal.com, TrendsJournal.com. And Kerry, we know that people are having a difficult time out there. So we have a discount request page there. Just, fill it out, and we'll do the best we can to make it available to everyone.
That's a great thing.
If they can't afford the full price. It's only $99 a year, online edition. And the magazine, by the way, the hard copy edition, is 50 pages, full color, no ads. It's the only magazine where you'll read history before it happens. And every Monday through Friday, we do Trends in the News, a real news show, not, the Cartoon News Network. Hey, they find that missing plane yet?
Yeah, where do you think that is, Gerald?
Yeah, I think it's probably... we did a story, by the way, in the TrendsJournal. What they missed, every time they came up with garbage, they found enough garbage to make a continent.
Yeah, isn't that distressing how much crap there is floating in the oceans?
It is enough to make a continent.
Yeah, really horrible. That was the most, it's distressing that these people just disappeared, and I'm sure the thing just crashed in the ocean. In
the old days, they used to have a ship lost at sea, These things happen.
It just happens. Like, it doesn't have to be transported by aliens to a different dimension.
It just happens.
It's just the thing crashed. Okay?
You know my other peeve is lately? These anti-bullying laws.
Oh, come on.
You learn how to fight.
Yeah,
and you ask me if the people are going to resist, and here you can see why they're not.
Yeah. You get picked on, and you know what? Taught my son how to box, which is what my parents should have done with me. And you know what? The kids picked on my son one time, and he knew how to box. He beat the crap out of him. And you know what? That did more than any anti-bullying statute could ever do.
What a bunch of nonsense. And then some kid commits suicide, and we have to have all these anti-bullying. Most make it, some don't. It's called survival of the fittest, and it went on since the beginning of civilization, and now we have people dictating to us, oh, no, that's wrong. I learned how to fight.
Yeah.
I grew up in the Bronx and Yonkers. I got plenty of fights. One time I got beat up, and it was my fault, and I ended up in the hospital.
It happens. One time my father, he was 12 years old. He's watching the family gas station. Some guy comes up, tries to steal a tank of gas. My father picked up a crowbar, slammed the guy on his arm, broke the guy's arm. Probably shouldn't have done that, but you know what?
But hey, you do things. Or probably shouldn't have done it. How about starting a war in a foreign country who did nothing to you and kill a couple of million people?
Yeah, not good. But,
But anyway, that's my other
This is our
pet
world.
peeve.
So, hey, we'll have your link on the financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Gerald, thanks so much for coming on. It's always appreciated.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for all you're doing, man.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.